playing a little music, saving a lot of lives, keeping it all good in your neighborhood. All the things that we always say, good advice, good example, good instruction, and good information. That's what you're going to get from us. Ready to roll. Happy Juneteenth. We're going to delve into Juneteenth a lot during this first hour. So be prepared when I call on you to call in, share what you know, don't know, would like to know. I got a series of questions I want to ask you. Let me say hello to Ann, hello to the soul, hello to Lady E, of course, and hello to the one and only Fillmore Mike.
Oh, wow.
One and only Fillmore Mike. Lady just gave you a nice wave. Yeah, but yeah. Well, I'm where I want to be. Well, let's just acknowledge.
You got to start with congratulations.
I know. Congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder OKC for winning their first NBA championship. Wow. Yeah, you know, that was a great series, man. That was as good as a series can get. Two very evenly matched teams. I've never seen a team like the Pacers that just never say die. They can't. I left the office to come over here, and they were down by 23 points. I got here, look at the phone, they were down by 8. I mean, without Tyrese Halliburton, that team is, man, I've never seen a team fight back and claw like the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, so like the Indiana Pacers. But in the end, give it up to OKC. And, you know, Mike, I was thinking, I wrote, people asked me who was going to win this game. And I said, OKC should win. They had the best record in the league. They had the best home record in the league. And they had the MVP, right? And they had, you know, so they were supposed to win, but still, it was a pick 'em, which shows how remarkable Pacers played. But in the end,
yep.
Did Shea win the trophy?
I didn't see it. I assumed, but it's turned off right now, so I got to look it up real quick.
He did not have a good shooting game at all. He was like 8 for 27. I mean, he went for the free throws.
He was bricking.
Yeah, he was bricking. He was seriously bricking. So, but you know, in the end,
but he kept them in it in the first half, and then their second half, the defense. Man, they play defense. They get more steals and strips than any team I've ever seen.
They got 10 players on the court at once. So yeah. All right. OKC. Congratulations.
And basketball is officially over. What are you gonna do with yourself, Doc?
Before we leave basketball, I gotta ask Mike how he feels about Kevin Durant going to Houston.
That should be fun.
Yeah.
They got a good team.
And they needed scoring bad. They didn't have nobody who could score. That's how the Warriors beat them up so
Warriors
bad.
Houston rematch is gonna be nice next year, huh?
They already setting up the storylines.
They already said, yeah. KD is.
KD's been on a lot of teams.
I always say if there was a one-on-one in the NBA, I would bet on KD against anybody because I don't know who could stop him, you know. All right, now to your question. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. Baseball's a little different, you know, but you know, basketball. Oh, the Valkyries. That's true. That's true. Thank you. Yeah. You want to go to You want to go to Valkyries game, Mrs. Stell, Lady E?
As long as I don't have to sit in the ceiling.
Oh, you probably have to sit in the ceiling. So when you come, you gotta let us know. We'll see if we can get you.
If the tickets are free, I'll sit at the hot dog stand. I don't care. That's me.
Malcolm, you go ahead and go for that hot dog stand, baby. I've had my hot dogs. Okay, I'm ready for the VIP.
If the ticket is free, okay. I'll go in there working. I'll be like, drinks over here, peanuts. I don't care.
You said if the tickets are free.
Yeah, no.
I understand, bro. All right, well, we'll see what we can do. I think I know when you're coming, but
Valkyries is fun experience.
Great experience. Yeah.
Hey,
you get your report? Did they win when she was there?
I think they did win.
So what did she say? She said, "We just, you just gotta tell us."
It was fun. A lot of fun.
Okay.
A lot of wholesome fun with the fam bam.
Okay.
And then, a
yeah,
lot of pictures were taken.
Oh, all right. You gotta share,
Had a
bro.
good time.
Yeah, but
And mom's is very vocal at the games.
Oh, she one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What does that mean? One of those.
Well, no,
She
the fans of no, they really into the game.
She thinks she's a coach.
Oh, she thinks she's a coach.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a different kind of one of those.
Yeah. She good though. She had a great time. Thank you.
Well, you remember his mom is a baller, certified baller. So, of course you're gonna have an opinion now.
Yeah. All right. Well,
that's cool, Mike. That's a
great.
memory you'll have for a long time.
That's great.
Yes.
She appreciated it.
All right, so why don't we do the look, like we got to turn very, very dark now. When I say dark, I mean so got us some news here. So let's start with the worst news of all. The world awaits Iranian response after the U.S. hits nuclear sites. All right, the world braced on Sunday for Iran's response after the United States attacked key Iranian nuclear sites, joining Israel in the biggest Western military action against the Islamic Republic since 1979, excuse me, revolution. I don't even like reading this, but I have to, all right?
Everybody knows.
Iran vowed to defend itself a day after the U.S. dropped 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs onto the mountain above Iran's Fordo nuclear site, while American leaders urged Iran to stand down, and pockets of anti-war protests emerged in the United States. All right, that's enough of that, and it's a mess. This is the person. It's hard to even use that word for him. This is the person who vowed no war, American person, no war. He talked about
Kamala.
Yeah. Yes, like a dog about being, the warmonger, the candidate of war, and then so I mean, yeah, I
think one of the things about, in addition to that ridiculous decision, the news, who knows what's true anymore, said that he said after the bombs were dropped, okay, now let's have peace. Let's end this war.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How you gonna hit me in my jaw, knock me down, and kick me, and then say, okay, now let's be friends? What?
Now let's be friends.
What? My nose is still bleeding. I haven't recovered from the kick, and you talking about friends?
This is Trump you talking about.
This is a level of there is no word to describe the level of
whatever you're gonna say. Right. But did you hear him say God bless God? Did you hear that? No, he said God bless, the world. He was blessing every world. I think he said God bless Iran, God bless Israel, God bless God.
It's numbing. You don't even what the scary part is that there's so much things, there's so many things that happen.
Yes.
On a almost
daily basis.
And he's only 6 months in.
3 times a day, 3 times a week is something happening with you. It's like, come on, bro. Like, get it together.
He can't get it together, man. He's not a get it together guy. Crazy. He's just he can't.
Very scary. We're living in very scary times.
You got that right. I mean, they've already threatened to shut off the oil center, the canal, right?
Straight.
Be prepared for what, $6-7 gas. I mean, oil. I mean, it's crazy. The Houthis. Is that the way you said? The Houthis are trying to shut down the Gulf. America. I mean, you open up all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When you just kill somebody, right?
Yeah. Innocent.
So, all right.
I thought about the movie.
I didn't vote for him, so I didn't vote for this. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought about Titanic. I know it's not really related, but I always think about that scene when the ship is going down and the musicians keep playing. And I said, that's gonna be us. The world, whatever's gonna happen, we're gonna keep getting people alive and free. The world might be going down, that ship might be going down, maybe not, but it ain't gonna change what we gonna do. So
oh no, it don't change what we gonna do. But oof, the world is not into alive. We into alive and free. The world is into power, domination, and control. All right. Stay tuned, and it's a serious stay tuned because you don't know. They said U.S. cities are on alert right now.
oh yeah, people, I'm getting called, people nervous, scared actually. So
They should be.
yes, they should be.
You should be at least. All right, let's go here. You have another one from BET News. The because of her, I'm here. Survivors reflect on the Charleston Church massacre.
10 years ago this weekend, you remember?
Wow.
When, I think his name was Dylan Proof.
Yeah, the daughter of a slain pastor killed in the 2015 Emmanuel AME church shooting reflected on 10 years ago. Let me get her name here. Elania looks like Pinkney, a Regis College graduate with just 11 when the incident occurred. Now, at the age of 21, she's able to grasp the impact that her father's passing had on the country. I can distinctly remember at 11 the impact that President Obama had when he came, and of course, sang at the memorial service. Her father, Clementa Pinkney, was among those gunned down by white supremacist Dylan Roof in a targeted, racially motivated terrorist attack against the Black congregation members who were attending Bible study. 9 people lost their lives that day, right?
Sad.
Burger
King and stuff.
And took him to breast. I hope I'm gonna say something about that in a minute. Among the other survivors are Pinkney's wife Jennifer and the youngest daughter Milana.
And the pain right there.
Called the terrifying incident, marking it as bittersweet event since it coincided with Elania's graduation from Temple University. So Elania graduated the same day that this happened 10 years ago. Your father should have been here to witness and be a part of all this, she told her daughters during her recent interview. Dylan Roof took him to where? Burger King?
After all the blood that was spilled in the church.
Yeah.
They put I don't even know if they put handcuffs on him and put how the TV tells you they're supposed to do. They said, "Are you hungry?
Wow.
You want something to eat? What?"
That's crazy.
Who was the recent guy that shot and killed last week? Was it the people in Minnesota?
I don't know the name, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, they found and took him in. These guys always seem to take in without incident.
Yeah, that's the correct.
Without incident, Mike. They go without incident, right? So I saw this thing. So did they take him to Burger King too? You know what I mean? Look, brothers be coming up with their hands out, hands up.
Kind of like if 200 brothers stormed the Capitol building, you just have a hard time imagining they would get home. They would just go home and then maybe down the road get
No, they've been dead that day.
Get their sentences commuted, but hey.
No, they've been gone. All right, here we got another one. Thank you. But speaking of, the NAACP is having.
I saw that.
Is having its annual convention, and for the first time in the history of the convention, they are not inviting a sitting president. Never, no, that's never happened. And name a president you ain't particularly fond of. They've all been invited to the NAACP yearly convention. And the president said, well, why we invite him? We're a civil rights organization. And he's rolling back civil rights. So what's the point?
They're nonpartisan. They're just about civil rights. And
yeah.
I wouldn't invite him because I don't want to see his face.
Well, you remember the last time?
I would invite him if it was a dialogue that was to be had, but it's not a dialogue to be had. So
Right. That's right. That's basically what
the last time remember he appeared before the Association of Black Journalists last
That's
year.
right, last year.
All he did was insult all the women there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They are A-okay for not.
Yeah, please.
There's no guilt
We all checked.
to be
All right with me. All right with me. All right. And the Soul has included SF Juneteenth Parade, a joyful celebration of Black freedom and heritage.
Man,
From the SF Chronicle, the third annual San Francisco Juneteenth Parade enlivened Market Street on Sunday with an array of floats and performers united by the thing of Black pride. A dozen block parties were in full swing through the duration of the parade, from the Embarcadero to Civic Center. Parties featured children's activities, a car show, games, giveaways, line dancing. I saw this one, I guess it was a video of Juneteenth somewhere. I don't know if it was in Memphis or something like that. What's it? Everybody, they was all doing boots on the ground. It was all doing boots on the ground, which I have yet to learn. Have you learned it, Mike?
What's that? The boots on the ground song with the fan?
the dance.
The dance.
Kinda, yeah.
You have?
Doc, I got a tutorial for you. I'll send it to you. It's not
I
that
know
hard.
you sent that tutorial, man. Like
It ain't that hard. It's just a few steps.
That hard, yeah. It's like a slide.
It's just the turnaround. You got to get the turnaround, the half turn, the full turn. It ain't that hard.
Lady, you got it, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. Bam, bam, bam.
I know Lady E got it.
Yeah, Lady E got it. I don't even know if I want to see you, Dr. Marshall, doing that dance anyway.
Why not? I wasn't planning on doing it, but now that you just said that, I'm gonna do it.
That is a challenge.
You out there? We're gonna do it.
Mike, I'm gonna have you. I'm gonna tell you. Back in the day, he could have been a Pip in Gladys Knight and the Pips. Okay, don't sleep on Doc.
I could be in the Temptation.
Got you.
That's right.
Smooth little quick moves, little quick cute ones.
Smooth,
right?
Old school brothers are smooth. Lady, yes, maybe when you come out, you can give us all lessons, okay?
Listen, you need to practice. You got that tutorial. You practice, okay?
All right, let me finish.
And get your fan ready.
About Juneteenth. Juneteenth was everywhere this year.
We got the San Francisco's parade was one of many events around the Bay Area this month celebrating Juneteenth, the day in 1865 when slaves in Galveston, Texas learned of their emancipation more than 2 years earlier. Okay, we got one more here. What's this, Malcolm from EET News? Esau Snipes Garner, widow of Eric Garner.
Yeah, you remember Eric Garner?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I can't breathe.
Yeah. Eric.
Yeah. His
Eric
wife,
Snipes Garner didn't choose to be an activist, but like so many Black women forced into the role of unspeakable loss, she became one anyway. The widow of Eric Garner, whose 2014 death at the hands of an NYPD officer sparked a national uprising and gave voice to that phrase, "I can't breathe." She passed away at the age of 58. Okay. Her life was forever altered when her husband, a 43-year-old father of 6, was taken down by police officers in Staten Island for allegedly selling loose cigarettes. That's
what I'm talking
thing.
about.
It was crazy.
We just talked about Dylan Roof.
Yeah, right.
This man selling loose cigarettes.
Yes.
And all that happened.
Yeah.
And Dylan Roof goes to Burger King.
Yeah. and yeah. The video captured Garner repeating, "I can't breathe," 11 times before losing consciousness. His death was due to homicide. Despite national outrage and years of protests, the officer was never criminally charged. Okay. All right.
Rest in peace to his wife, and you like to think they are together again.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Got some rough memories here, but it's appropriate around Juneteenth. Or appropriate anytime, but it's wow. Okay, so let's talk about Juneteenth. I really do. I want to spend a little time on it. I want to give it, I think, the honor and the love it deserves. And especially I decided to do this. Well, not especially, I was going to do it anyway, but Did you see what that man? That man.
I don't pay attention to anything he says, Doc.
Well, the day came up and he said, and I quote, he said the U.S. has too many non-working holidays.
I got a few we can get rid of. We can start with George Washington, President's Day.
What he said on Juneteenth, right? We have too many non-working holidays, but of course he hasn't really, and he's talking about creating holidays now, too many. In an apparent critique of Juneteenth, Trump said in a June 19th Truth Social post that non-working holidays are costing billions of dollars, or he say billions and billions of dollars to keeping businesses closed. Private companies are not forced to close on federal holidays like Juneteenth, which commemorates the events of June 19th, 1865. All right, when the last Black people enslaved by the Confederacy were ordered free. He has railed, apparently, against a number of paid holidays for federal workers in the past. All right. And this is so Trump, right? As of June 20th, the day after, no Juneteenth proclamation had been released from the White House. They just put anything out. And his little, what they press secretary or the one that stands up there and lies for him, she was just nasty.
Caroline.
Yeah, she was just nasty about it. I no more questions. You know what I'm saying? Right. All right. So, especially because this clown just disregarded Juneteenth, want to give us some love here on Street Soldiers today. And Juneteenth commemorates the events of June 19th, 1865, when the last Black slaves of the Confederacy were ordered free following the arrival of Union troops in Galveston, Texas. It became a federal holiday on June 17, 2021, when President Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law. This made June 19th, also known as Juneteenth, the newest federal holiday. All right. The day has also been called Freedom Day, Emancipation Day, and the Black 4th of July. No, I circled that one. I like that one.
Yeah, my cousin calls it the Black 4th of July.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one. Before it was a federal holiday, it was a front porch story passed down in Black Texas households. All right. So let's see. Let's see. And I saw this thing on television where somebody went out in this, in the street or somewhere and asked people if they knew what Juneteenth was. And it just happened to be all white people that they asked. And one person said, is that a day for teenagers in June or something like that? None of them knew. Of course, it's a small sample size, maybe 7 people, what Juneteenth was. So I'm curious as to folks. I wrote a couple questions here. What does the holiday mean to you? What does Juneteenth mean to you? And this is one of those days that it's kind of like Kwanzaa. Remember when Kwanzaa started? Nobody really, but it caught over the years. It just caught on, right? Mm-hmm. Black community for sure. And now, people celebrate Kwanzaa like every year. We do. We have a Kwanzaa every year, right? Yeah. It seems like Juneteenth, I don't know if it's growing.
Well, I think in the Black community, it's already there.
Yeah.
Did you celebrate it before it became a holiday?
All my whole life.
Yes.
Your whole life?
From Fillmore.
Yes.
Okay.
So Fillmore is known for our Juneteenth celebration.
All right. Yes, it is.
I've been a part of that since I was a kid.
Richmond, California has had one going on for a long time. I think Berkeley as well. And I've been going to them for years.
Yeah. So I think within within the Bay Area, it's different. I don't know about SAC.
Or around the country.
They had Juneteenth for a long time.
Yeah. Certainly in Texas where Lady E is. Did you know what it meant though? A lot of times we celebrate things, did you know what the meaning of it?
I would say I knew what it meant more before I knew what Kwanzaa fully meant.
Okay. Okay. So did you?
Doc, I think it's more popular, obviously to the general public. Obviously, it's a federal holiday that more people are going to know about it.
Yeah.
But to your point, knowing that it's a holiday and knowing the history are two different things, and knowing, the reasons, those are two different things. And
Yeah.
we live in a country where most people aren't taught Black history anyway. So,
Yep.
why would they know this? So yes, it's more popular to some folks. At the same time, there were Juneteenth celebrations everywhere in the Bay Area this
And
week.
that, and you know what I'm thinking? Were there more celebrations than people that knew about it? I mean,
Look, Martinez had Juneteenth. Concord had a big one. Antioch last week. I mean, it was just all over. And so that's kind of cool.
It's very cool.
It's some of the holidays, I'm not a big holiday guy, Doc. I'm like you. Some of the holidays, they come around. I'm like, I really don't give a damn. But this one has meaning to me, and it's people should know about it. It's worthy of a holiday. Some of them are questionable, but this one is not to me.
Let me see if I can get some of the callers in on this. 877-955-1061, 877-955-1061. Do you celebrate Juneteenth? Do you know what it's about? I want to ask you. Is the holiday meaningful to you? That's another question I want to ask folks. Is it meaningful to you? How did you spend Juneteenth if you spent it at all? If what did you do? You don't necessarily have to go. Well, I want to find out if it means something to you. If Juneteenth means something to you. All right, 877-955-1061. What do you know? Do you celebrate it? Before it became a holiday, I'm curious about that because this now mandates the country. Now it's as official as you can get, right? And it's the only other day for Black History other than Dr. King's Day. If I'm correct, right? We don't have Malcolm as my Harriet Tubman. People be trying to get Harriet in there, but other than Dr. King, right? The other holidays, the other federal holidays are what? Well, I don't have to read these anyway. Washington, President's Day, Columbus Day,
Indigenous People Day,
which was, well, he changed that now back to Columbus Day, right? 877-955-1061. I'd like to know what you know about Juneteenth. Do you celebrate it? Is it meaningful? That's what I really know. Is the holiday meaningful to you? Lady E, do you know what's going on down there in the place where it began? Texas. You got to unmute her.
I know. Actually, I don't. It was for me, Juneteenth, even though I know about it, I was not involved in any of the Juneteenth activities because I was happened to be working. I was working. I was collecting data and tracking folks down for stuff, and so I missed it this year.
Well, yeah, and fine, yeah, yes.
I mean, that's
I don't necessarily go to the marches on Martin Luther King Day, but certainly I do celebrate Dr. King's birthday. So, we got a call. Okay, let's go to the call. Hi, you're on Street Soldiers. Juneteenth. Want to know what you know about it? Is it a meaningful holiday to you? Go right ahead.
Yes, I'm gonna know about it. I'm gonna be about it. So I feel it's very important about the Juneteenth is because you got to know your history about what's going on, the situation of Africa. So I feel that the Juneteenth was big back in the days because they had went in there and they had took the last slavery out to free them. And I think that was most important because there was a lot of people that was standing that didn't have no say-so, didn't have nothing. And they were empathetic about everything that was going on. They went in there and saved them. And I just feel like that was awesome. And if people don't understand that, You know,
Yeah.
you need to really go back and do your history about it. Because when we be in school, they never tell us everything about Black history.
That's
They
correct.
always have a white history book that never. It might just have Martin Luther King in there and Malcolm X.
Yeah.
But what about everybody else that's in there that really stood up for us?
Yeah, and when you think
Ever in
about
our
it,
life.
it's when you think about it, this is a pretty important day because it marks the official end of slavery. You know, I mean,
Exactly.
It should be championed as it is, but by the masses more so. It's very important, right?
yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
one thing I love about California, because we really never had slavery, you know. And then what I love about it is that, I mean, people might not agree with me, but Newsom is not playing that. Like, we not doing that. And this guy Donald Trump, he is a clown all day around. Look what he's doing right now. He's trying to take our education. He's trying to take. If he can, he can put us back in slavery if he can, but it cannot happen.
Well, he
Because
certainly is not in favor of anything Black because he has put the DEI stamp on Martin Luther King Day, on everything that's Black, right? Anything, yeah. We just so. Well, look, I appreciate that. I'm glad you do celebrate it. I'm glad it's on your mind. I'm glad it's nice to hear because I think it's as significant as any day for Black folks. But not only that, for the country. Because what's good? Slavery not a good thing.
exactly.
So everybody should be happy that this commemorates the end of slavery, right? Thank you so much for calling, dear. Thank you. 877-955-1061, 877-955-1061. I want to know, what do you know about Juneteenth? Is the holiday meaningful? That's really the main question I want to get to. Did you celebrate it? How did you celebrate it? Go ahead, Ann. You got something to say? Yeah.
No, I mean, the facts are I guess it's just mind blowing when you think, because enslaved people, what did that mean? That meant they were not being paid. We don't know how they were being treated, but I'm really gonna assume not well.
That's an understatement.
If we want to say alleged, but like, really, come on, like, the fact that these people are taking advantage of other human lives to do work for them that they don't want to do. But and then the fact that it was the Civil War, which maybe we don't know about, right? Like, you're studying that in high school or middle school, but you're not really paying attention, so maybe you don't know what that means or what year that even was. But that was pretty recent. um and then when we look at the fact that the slaves are supposed to be free, and it's 2 years, that's 365 times two.
That's
You know what I mean? Like, that is way too many days for people to not be freed when legally they're supposed to be. And it says here from the National Museum of African American History and Culture that the Army, right, the Union soldiers announced that more than 250,000 enslaved Black people in the United States were freed by the executive decree. And it just blows me away. So, yes, I think Juneteenth is very important. And I'm very happy that there were celebrations in almost every single city because it's incredibly important. For me, I like to learn about the history when they show it on PBS, and we learn about that. We learn about Black Wall Street. We learn about what's really going on in the world and in history.
Yeah, well, it's akin to me. Juneteenth is akin to a jubilee. We free. It's a jubilee. It's a celebration of the end of this horrible. And I was trying to explain to somebody yesterday. I was actually telling somebody yesterday the difference between, they didn't really understand how bad American slavery was.
Yeah.
And well, there's always been slaves, and I've been look. I don't. Let me just try and give you a little quick history lesson, right? And they say, "Well, I didn't know it was that bad." What, was that bad?
It was the worst. Yeah,
They've always had slaves in history. Blah blah. So let me explain. All right, if you want
really
to
have to explain that to people.
Oh, you really do.
You really do, because
you really do.
Right.
Right.
They don't understand the the torment and the abuse that they were under was more so than it was magnified.
There's been no slavery in history like American slavery. slaves, I mean, blacks also went to Brazil, but it wasn't this kind of slavery. America was the worst, right? America was so bad that anyway, all right, let me get some calls if you can get in. I want to know how you feel about Juneteenth, 877-955-1061. I want to know, here's what I want to know. Is the holiday meaningful to you? That's really what I'm trying to ask here. What do you know about it? Did you celebrate it? I love this thing, the Black 4th of July. You know, and I've said this before, you know, 4th of July, come on now. You know, I was not free on July 4th, 1776. I mean, it's my right as an American, you know, to celebrate. But that day, I was a slave on July 4th, 1976. 1776. By the way, I said it to somebody, I said, it wasn't you. I said, yeah, but it was my family. And the only reason it wasn't me is because I wasn't born then, right? Because I'm black, so then I would have been I would be in slavery. So I like that day, the Black 4th of July, Emancipation Day, Freedom Day. I like those. Let me just read a little bit more here, and if you want to jump in, I'm giving you a chance. I'm just doing it this first time. I really want to know what you know about Juneteenth, and is the holiday meaningful to you? 877-955-1061. Juneteenth did not start in a textbook. It started in Galveston, just outside Houston, Texas, on June 19th, 1865, when 250,000 slave people were finally told that they were free 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Imagine that. Freedom on paper, but not in practice. Liberation denied deliberately. But as we always do, we have made a celebration out of the truth. Whoever wrote this, I really like what they said. From Houston's Emancipation Park to backyard cookouts, from barbershop chairs to pulpit sermons, Juneteenth became more than a date. It became a declaration. I love what it's a Southern-rooted, sun-soaked celebration of resistance, resilience, and rest. I mean, you know, that is, oof. And even now, even as it's nationally recognized, I hope we don't let the moment get flattened into a long weekend of a company trivia quiz. I hope we remember it's personal. For me, it's personal. For me, it's personal and powerful. And for me, it's powerful. So whether you're honoring it by resting, reading, marching, or just breathing deep, I hope you feel the weight and wonder of what it means to be free and Black in America. And because our joy has always been revolutionary and our history, it is not up for negotiation. I don't know who wrote that, but that is beautiful. That is beautiful. That is James Brown saying, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud, right? And it is now nationally recognized in this day, June 19th, every year, when we celebrate Juneteenth. 877-955-1061. Tell me what you know, what you don't know. Is it meaningful to you? You can certainly hear Dr. Marshall saying the date is meaningful to him. Lady, you want to jump in and say anything about any of this?
Oh, I have the dark side of it. So, you know, and I think for me, I just need to stay with the celebration of knowing the fact that it's known, and it means something. And for me, I pause because 2 years after people were free, they weren't told. I mean, this just goes, for me, it just reminds me of all of the many things that people of color were not told about. What we've had over the years and years to endure because it was known, yet not to us. Things are known, but they're not passed on to us. And so it's nice that it's called Juneteenth. We're celebrating the emancipation that happened 2 years ago. It finally happened. And I love how we take care of and this sounds harsh, and I'm going to say it, how we take care of those who neglected to let us know, to share that information. You know, we, despite the maltreatment, the misinformation, we still protect those who were not protecting us. So yeah, that speaks to me.
And lady, I love this line here. So whether you're honoring it by resting, reading, marching, or just breathing deep, I love that because I know with me it was on my mind. I was somewhere else. I ended up teaching. I really ended up teaching because folks didn't know, right? And you know, they just didn't know. And these are grown men. Let me just put it like that. In these were grown men that just didn't know. And what I don't like is when some people say we're just dividing us because we're acknowledging.
Well, the division is there. That's the thing. Division's already there.
Division. Yeah, they started.
Not to say, you know what I'm saying?
Not to say it like they, but the division was there when you didn't grant people to access to read, give them the information so that they can comprehend anything.
And this day just celebrates the end of it. We got a call. All right, hi, you're on Street Soldiers. Juneteenth. What do you know? Is the date meaningful to you? The day meaningful to you? Go right ahead.
Hello, can you hear me, Joseph?
I can hear you.
Hey, guess what? I bet you don't know who this is. This is Cassandra, your best friend.
Oh, Cassandra, long time no talk.
So long.
No, it is nice to hear you. That means you're alive and free, which is our goal.
I'm still alive and free. And guess what? Anyway, I'm talking on the subject. It's like you said, does it mean a lot? Yes, it does, because my great grandmother raised me. And so by me being the person that I am, I knew, and I was the first one in Black History class, always asking questions and everything. They saved the last 20 minutes for me because I always wanted to know about my heritage or our people. So as you guys know, it's been a long 11 years coming up on my daughter's anniversary from her homicide in Oakland. So yeah, I can't wait. I am gonna be in the World Guinness Book of Black People too.
Thank you. Did you celebrate Juneteenth, or did you know about it? Number one.
Juneteenth, I went to like several Juneteenth events, and guess what? I have my cooking license. I'm a culinary chef. So yeah, I even had a vendor. I even had, soul food, because I've been, like I say, being successful and continue to hold my head up. Of course, this is the time that we have to celebrate us, and I'm so glad that they stretched it out from last Sunday or the last weekend all the way this whole week, and that really, really made me feel good, because our children and everybody needs to know about where we came from.
Thank you. It's good to hear from you. Glad you are doing well, really.
Dr. Marshall, where's Lady Adele or Quinny? I haven't had to talk to you guys in years, but anyway, I know where you guys are, and I will be calling you back, because I need you know I love y'all.
Congratulations on your culinary license and vendoring, and bless your heart. That is just wonderful news. Good to hear from you. Keep that up.
Happy Juneteenth. All right, you're on Street Soldiers. We're celebrating Juneteenth. What is the holiday meaningful to you? Go right ahead.
Hello?
Hello, you are on. Go right ahead.
Hello. It's an honor to call in for Street Soldiers. I've called many times before. Street Soldiers, Juneteenth is very important. I first found out about Juneteenth in 2008 when I was coming back from Los Medanos, and one of my somebody said that the reason Abraham Lincoln's face is shaped facing the other way, and he's put on a penny and it's a different color, is because he freed the slaves. And then I learned about Juneteenth, and I was like, why I didn't learn this in school? And then Juneteenth festival almost every year since 2010. And I was like, it's, even though I'm not an FBA, my family's Nigerian American. We do know many of the slaves who were brought to the United States and the rest of the Americas were from Nigeria.
From Nigeria, absolutely.
Yeah, like I'm Igbo, and so that's the bite of Biafra.
Are you Igbo? Let me tell you something, but just between me and you. Wait a minute. When I went to Nigeria, listen up. I went to Nigeria years ago. Actually, I was taken over there to make, actually on Martin Luther King Day to make a speech, actually. And I ended up going to Abuja and Lagos. And the women looked at me and they felt my face and said, you're Igbo. So I don't know if I am or if I'm not, but I remember them saying that to me, and I was like, really? Because I don't really know what I am, because I'm a descendant of one of those that were enslaved over here. So Igbo, love it.
Yes.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah. It's very important. It also speaks on to how Black history in the United States is not really, it's not respected.
Yeah.
It's not respected. We know all about the founding fathers and all these white heroes, but our history is like on the back burner. And
now it is really trying to like they're trying to erase it, literally erase it.
Correct.
The eraser that you had on a pencil when you were growing up, they just trying to erase it or water it down or pretend it didn't exist, or slaves were workers and they weren't slaves, and that's what this guy is all about. Yeah, I like that. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. 877. We can get a couple more in here. 877-955-1061. Here is something else that I read. This is so beautiful. Let's see. Juneteenth is more than a date. It is a living testimony to the strength and endurance of a people who, even after centuries of enslavement, chose to rise in dignity and hope. It is a reminder of what freedom truly means, not just in the legal sense, but in terms of access, equality, and respect. Celebrating Juneteenth means acknowledging the painful truths of our history, while also lifting up the triumphs, culture, and contributions of African Americans that have shaped every part of this nation, from science and art to politics and business. That's nice. I really read some nice things that popped up for people around Juneteenth. But my point is, what can be bad about saying slavery's over and acknowledging that? I mean, look, man, we ain't gonna get no apology. You know that. They ain't gonna come out and say, I don't remember an apology on the federal level. And I've heard, maybe some representatives or, states maybe, but then I gotta say, I'm sorry, we were wrong, blah, 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 blah. In fact, Hannah Nicole Jones 1619 Project basically stated, and they had a whole fit over that is the center of America is really around slavery, and what it built for is the year 1619, and they were like just went crazy over it. But this is just saying, even Stephen Colbert, the late night host, who was funny. He said, what can be wrong? What can be bad about having a day that celebrates the end of slavery? So I hope as we move forward, that it's not dividing anybody, people, okay? Don't get it twisted. Don't get it wrong. It's just acknowledging that it's done, right? Yeah. And you got to understand, for a lot of folks, this is Black 4th of July. This is Black 4th of July. This is Freedom Day. Yeah, Mike, you want to jump in? Yeah.
We got 1 minute. Just real quick, I Googled earliest known Bay Area Juneteenth celebrations. Mm-hmm. In the Bay Area, it says Juneteenth celebrations began, and I didn't know this, kind of proud, but it began in the Fillmore District by Wesley Johnson Sr. riding a white horse down Fillmore Street in 1945. 1945. Wow. His initial celebrations were inspired by his Texas roots.
I was gonna say you must be from Texas.
Festival in the 60s. What does it say? Particularly in response to redevelopment efforts, this eventually evolved into the annual Juneteenth Festival in Fillmore, which is now the largest gathering of African Americans in Northern California, according to the Examiner.
So, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
How long ago is
in the Fillmore? A brother from Texas came up here and said, we're going to celebrate it here.
Right.
Right. All right. Great. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. We're going to switch to another topic the second hour. But look. Don't forget Juneteenth. Celebrate it. Keep the celebrations going, and keep on working for freedom, justice, and equality. All right, we'll be back.
All right, join us on the second hour at YouTube Live at Stay Alive and Free, and always take us on the go with stayaliveandfree.org.
Pressure.
The Surgeon General
Okay.
put out a report this week on gun violence. On gun violence, and citing it as a public health problem and as a public health crisis. And so we're going to delve into that report tonight and see what we can do. If there's anything can be done, that anything can be done with the state of gun violence in America. To do that, we have joined once again by Garen Wintemute. Hope I said that right, Garen. And we're going to get you and all your credentials and jump into this. But I want to tell the listeners, please, I need some answers. We need some answers. We need some conversation about what to do about gun violence. Can anything be done? What do you think are solutions? So you can give us a call at 877-955-1061 and tell us what you think can be done to prevent, to stop, to just make a dent in gun violence. And, you know, Garen, before I just want to begin with a few notes I made about every shooting and how every shooting affects and impacts somebody. Locally, we had a shooting at a community basketball game, and a community elder, affectionately known as Little Rob, was shot, and he's gone. And it's all over, you know, this area is feeling it heavy. This area is feeling it heavy. Every shooting affects somebody. One of our kids, we work with on Tuesday and Thursday night at the club, at his high school graduation, Skyline High. There was a shooting at graduation, you know. There was a man killed and a child hurt. I got to read this one. At a Maryland high school during a Little League football game, right? You got to listen to this one, man. A man has died, a child is injured following a shooting at a Maryland Little League football game. The shooting happened at Potomac High School. About 11:30, the Little League game was being played. Two people were in the stands and got into a verbal altercation. It escalated, and one of the individuals took out a gun, firing at an adult male and a five-year-old child. Now, if these were just like run-of-the-mill, hardly ever happen things, that's not true. Let me add one more, that we had a spate, a series of mass shootings in several states a weekend ago, 1 dead and 34 wounded, as there were incidents in New York, Alabama, Missouri, and Ohio. They swelled the 2024 mass shooting tally. So this gun violence thing is bad. Yeah, well, summer's always hot. But what I think the interesting here about this, and Garen, you can jump in here, is we know there's been a violence problem, but they're specifically labeling this a gun violence problem. You know, not a knife violence problem, not a, automobile violence problem, not a, whatever. It's a gun violence problem. In fact, many of the initiatives that have been going around, I know cities that have gotten funded specifically to fight gun violence. For you, Garen, and introduce yourself, and let's talk about what do you think is the significance of this report by the Surgeon General, specifically saying gun violence is a public health problem. And once again, if you've got solutions, give us a call, 877-955-1061, 877-955-1061. Go ahead, sir.
Fair enough. So good evening. Thanks for having me. To your audience, my name's Garen Wintemute. I'm an ER doc, an emergency medicine physician. I'm also a researcher. I've been studying firearm violence for more than 40 years now. I run a research center that does this. And as I was listening to those horrible stories, I was thinking about how all of us have been hearing and witnessing events like that since our childhoods, wherever we grew up. The smartest thing that was ever said about violence being a public health problem came from the head of CDC, Dr. David Satcher. 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And he said to the New York Times, look, if violence isn't a health problem, then why are all these people dying from it? Yeah, it's just that simple. So to answer your question directly, what matters about this report is that the highest ranking health official, highest ranking physician in the country has said what we've all known and lived all along, but it matters when the person at the top says it, that this is a problem of a specific type, and why a public health problem, and why that matters is we have lots of experience in dealing with public health problems, and a lot of that experience is transferable to gun violence.
Hold on, yeah, we got a call. Anytime a call comes in, we'll stop and take it. Want to hear from you out there. How? What do we do to prevent, stop, slow down gun violence? What do you think is the solution? Thank you for calling. You're on Street Soldiers. Yes, thank you for calling. What's your name? You're on. I hear you. Yep. Nope. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think that's, God, unfortunately, that's a carry. That just, it happens so often that, you know, you just, how many tears can you shed, right, Aaron? Wouldn't you say that people are becoming numb? Is that what you've seen?
That is not what I've seen.
Oh, okay.
People haven't given up. It's not that people don't care. It's how you framed the show. People aren't sure what to do. They don't know what works. And what they see is their friends, their neighbors, their loved ones dying or being injured around them, whether by homicide or suicide. They know that it touches them in their neighborhoods. A lot of people think it's not so much my problem because they think about homicide. But if you put it all together, more than half of adults in the United States have a direct personal experience with gun violence. It's everybody's problem. And again, to come back to this report, what this does is acknowledge that statement and frame an agenda for things to do.
How much does it take for something to be named a public health crisis? I mean, it seemed to me, like you said, it's obvious. Gun violence is killing folks like crazy, right? So why does it take so long? I mean, is it political? Is it the will of the people? Are they independent? I don't know if they're being influenced. Sure. Like you said, clear to me.
Yeah. So researchers were publishing articles calling gun violence a public health problem in the 1970s.
Wow.
It has taken us 50 years for the Surgeon General to call firearm violence a public health problem. I certainly don't blame our current Surgeon General. He's the guy who did it. But for 50 years, we haven't, at the policy level, been willing to acknowledge the obvious, because once you acknowledge the obvious, you have to do something about it, or one hopes you'll do something about it, which again is what the Surgeon General's report is trying to drum up some impetus for. I think you mentioned politics, and without question, politics has played a role in this not being acknowledged sooner.
I'm going to read just a little bit from the report. Gun violence has now become the leading cause of death among kids and teens. All right, according to the report, more than 4,600 deaths under the age of 19 were caused by gun violence, and 54% of all Americans, more than half, they have a relative or have experienced, they or relative have experienced a firearm-related incident. About 60% of Americans are worried about losing someone they care about. According to gun violence, the impact is sprawling, which we already know. I'm going to read them. Oh, here, this is the other part. The mental health reverberations are really quite profound. I know for years, people living in the inner city in the neighborhoods are saying, it's PTSD around here. We wake up to gunshots, go to bed with gunshots. We're going to funerals all the time, and you hear the word, just like in war, PTSD being thrown out there by those residents. Let's see when any studies and it right. So what does this mean according to like what they're going to do, or is it just one of those pronouncements when you say certain steps can be taken because this is now declared a public health problem, and you also intimated, well, we know how to deal with public health problems, therefore we should, I would think, put some of these steps into place. And what possibly could some of those things be?
Yes.
Seem like, yeah.
Happy to respond.
I give you the easy questions, right?
Yeah. So let's start with the fact that firearms have become the leading cause of death for children and adults. That has happened for two reasons. I'm looking at the graph from the report as I speak to you.
Yes, sir.
One is that the rate of death from gun violence among children and youth has been going up for a decade. And that's a tragedy. But the main reason is that what was the number one cause of death, motor vehicle death, has plummeted. And that happened in large part because 60 years ago, we took on motor vehicle death as a public health problem, and we implemented a bunch of strategies. Some of them worked great, some of them didn't work so well. We had to evaluate to find that out. But 60 years later, motor vehicle deaths are a mere fraction of what they were. We deliberately chose, until now, not to take that approach with firearm violence, and we're paying the price. But let me switch. So as the Surgeon General makes the points that I've just made and said, so let's do something about it, one of the things that's right at the top of the list, and this is for homicide and in interpersonal violence more than suicide, is community-based violence interrupter programs or hospital-based violence interrupter programs. The idea, and those of us, whether it's me in a hospital or a person in a community who've worked with this, we know how it works. A lot of violence is retaliatory. A lot of violence arises from a relatively small number of people in any community. And if you know who those people are, and if you know who knows whom, it's possible, and this has been proven to be true, I'm not making it up, it's possible to interrupt the cycle of violence. We've been seeing success on this front for 30 years now, starting in Boston and then in Chicago, and now, well, frankly, all over the country. And
California, right here, we can attest to it.
Totally, absolutely. Advanced Peace started in Richmond, which is not precisely the thing I'm talking about, but it sits right next to it. Mm-hmm. We know in general that identifying the people most at risk and doing something to reduce their risk works. It's true for homicide. It's true for infectious diseases. It's true for motor vehicles. It's the public health approach.
Yes. I'm gonna say yes, and yes to that. And maybe, in fact, a report like this will spur more of that. A couple of things come to my mind. In the work that I do, when I talk about, trying to stop violence, it seems that for a lot of people, violence is the way to solve a problem. Right? I've said that before. Right? Problem is where problem. You got an issue, it's violence, and right now, a preferred way, if not the first way, for some people, it's the first way. Right? Second way or third way, I'm tired of talking. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. You get the firearm and you shoot. What about, I guess what I'm talking about is there, because this is the work that I do with dealing with people and their mindset, that you won't turn to violence as a way to solve your problem, right? Because it seems like even dealing with those who are doing the shooting or the active shooters and so forth, somebody's always becoming an active shooter, right? So If it is a purely a medical thing approach, then it would seem to be prevention, intervention, and rehabilitation. We should be trying to prevent people from thinking that this is a way to solve my problem. Now, and let me add to that. The big issue for me is I can always tell people, you ain't worried about me. You ain't worried about getting shot by me. Because no matter how mad I got, I ain't gonna shoot you because I ain't got no gun. So I might fight you, I might scream at you, but you ain't got to worry about me. In guns, to me, and I think we've talked about the biggest risk factor. The biggest risk factor from a pure risk factor standpoint, in gun violence, right? That's why it's called gun violence, right? It used to be that, what did we say? There are too many guns on the street. Remember that? We say too many guns on the street. Get some guns off the street. Now we flooding everybody with guns. It went from trying or thinking about that to the opposite now, where we're saying everybody. I mean, you can give anybody a gun now. And I was going to ask you about states, certain states, it's Texas and Arizona. And so if they're the biggest risk factor, it would seem to be the mindset is even more important. And I hope I'm making sense here, when everybody's got a gun, right? Now when I go, I got to worry about everybody. I got to worry about the little old lady down the street who got it for protection. I got to worry about I got to worry about everybody. Because, I don't know what's going on in their head. That seems the biggest issue for me.
So, couple thoughts.
Yeah. What? You can't hear it?
Hello?
There you go. Okay. Say it. Go ahead.
What do you have to say to people that, for the people that say, guns don't kill people, stupid people with guns kill people?
Darren, you can take that one. I know what
I'll take that one. I'll take that one. So I've heard that statement in one form or another my entire career. Technology makes a difference. Americans we are not a uniquely violent society. If you look at our rates of interpersonal violence and you compare them to other wealthy industrialized countries, we're right in the middle. Plenty of them are higher than us. Mm-hmm. If you look at homicide, we are off the charts. Mm. The difference is not that we are more violent. It's that we have unique access to a technology that changes the outcome of violence. And Dr. Marshall, if I could go back to your point about people making first use of a gun. A question that I ask myself of people who do a lot of violence, and who, as you said, see violence as a way to solve problems. How many other ways to solve problems do they know about? What did they learn growing up at home? What did they learn in school? What did they learn from their peers? Did they learn how to negotiate? Did they learn how to walk away with your head held up? Or did they basically learn one way to solve a problem? So as you are doing and as others are doing, part of the approach is to teach people other ways to solve problems.
I was just doing the violence prevention training last week, right? And I posed that, and I said, we learned that violence is the way to solve our problems from the day we go to school. Because the first day you go to school, your parents tell you, if he hits you, hit him back. He doesn't say call home, call the teacher. I mean, a lot of parents, right? That's what they will say, right? And so you learn early, I think, to use violence is an out or a way to solve this issue that you're calling. If that's just what we're taught, and it grows and grows and grows and more. I will say this: my growing up, and in a tough place to grow up, I always say South Central Los Angeles. I never went to a funeral of a peer, right? I never went to a funeral of a peer, and I always ask the kids why, because I work with kids that have been going to 16 funerals in 16 years, right? They got, and I said, what's the difference? And they say, why, and then finally they say, and I tell them, we didn't shoot nobody. The kids didn't have guns. Now the adults might have had guns, but the kids didn't have guns. In fact, there were a lot of fights. The issue was there. The anger was there. All the other risk factors were there. But, you know, we felt, you know, and I always said we even felt it was unmanly if you couldn't fight. So, and I'm not saying fighting is good. I'm just saying people lived after the fight, right? I remember I saw my first gun. It was a 38. I was 16 years old when I started working with the kids. They had Uzis, 9mm, Glocks, you know, AK-47s. They had every kind of weapon of war that they could get to. And that's another thing to throw in here. Is not technology isn't a single shot 38. You know, it's something that can wipe out a whole battalion by itself. So, but you know, that we just didn't have them, and that's why we live. Now everybody's got a gun, and so you know that's the preferred or a preferred way for some people to deal with the issue. So the mindset is doubly important to me when everybody's walking around with the answer. You know, I got the answer. Keep messing with me. I'm not gonna say the other word I can't say on the radio. Keep messing with me. Keep messing with me. So it's gonna be tough to me. It's gonna be tough. By the way, let me say one other thing in this report. It also said, and I know this bothers you very much, half of all the firearm related deaths in 2022 were due to suicide. Not just homicide, suicide. The preferred weapon when you're going to kill yourself is a gun. So, you know, I want to talk for a minute about this move to give everybody a gun now. And does that worthy you? But Malcolm wants to jump in. 877-955-1061. If we got a call, we'll take that first. Looks like we got one. Let's go to that. Hi, you're on Street Soldiers. Go right ahead. Thank you for calling. You got any idea how to stop this gun violence?
Well, I got 2 points to make. You guys are talking about gun control and taking away the guns. I'm wondering, when you were dealing with the car situation and the cars being, you know, automobiles being the number one killer, did you take away the cars?
Well,
and the second point, my second point is,
let's talk about what they did do, okay? Because there was a way that they did, and Garen is writing this down. They didn't take away their cars, but they did do other things. And let's talk about those things they did first, and we'll get to your second question. That's a great one.
Okay.
Garen, you want to talk about that? This caller.
Sure. So very briefly, because I want,
great. Yeah.
I want to save time for a second point. Nobody on this show has mentioned taking away guns until you did. It's not part of my agenda. It's one of those areas on which gun owners and non-owners fundamentally disagree. I put my interest is on the interventions where gun owners and non-owners agree. And we'll get to that list, but let's get to your second point.
No, he wanted to hear what you did with cars.
Sure. Okay. So we licensed drivers. You have to have training to get a driver's license. You have to renew your driver's license. We changed the design of cars. When I was first working as an ER doc, somebody would come in a head-on collision, and I knew what kind of car they'd been driving if they were the driver, because the make of the car was tattooed on their chest. They'd been speared by the windshield, by the steering wheel. That does not happen anymore. We changed the design of cars. We changed the design of roads. We made it a lot harder to drive drunk. We did a bunch of things without taking anybody's cars away.
Not to mention seatbelts.
So thank you for that. We put seatbelts in cars and nobody used them. We required seatbelts to be used, and the people who didn't use them were the people who were already at highest risk for dying. So they kept dying. Old people, really young people, and intoxicated people. So what did we do? We put airbags in cars so that you were protected whether you were using your seatbelt or not. It's better to use both, but that's the genius of airbags. You don't have to comply, they just protect you.
And you have to wear a seat back under penalty of
yes, you do.
Kind of penalty. So they didn't take away the car, but they changed the makeup of the car, so to speak, and licensed some other things and put some other things, policy things in motion. Is he still there for point number 2?
Yeah.
Let me hear number 2. I hope that gives
number 2 was going to just, if you guys were talking about gun control, I was just going to point out that the cities that have the most gun control have the worst gun violence in them. like Chicago and various other places.
I was going to get to that. So thank you for bringing it up. I don't know if that's true. If it's not true, that's something that's up. Or states, So how true is that, sir? That's your job. That's what
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So see me smiling and jumping up and down at that one. Chicago's guns come from someplace else. It's just that simple. There's a ring of gun stores around Chicago, and there are trafficking pathways. One's from Indiana, one is from Mississippi. I have driven those pathways myself to watch the trafficking happen. But the guns come from someplace else. At the state level, and California is the poster child for this, it is really clear that having a robust regime of regulation on the purchasing and use of firearms makes a difference. California did that. Other states have. I will end with this observation. In 2021, the most recent year for which we have data, California, which did all of the things, had a firearm death rate, suicide and homicide together, as you mentioned, Dr. Marshall, suicide and homicide together, a firearm death rate that was 60%, 60% lower than the average rate for the other 49 states. It's working.
Oh. And if I'm correct, and I know this because I know individuals that do it, they go to Nevada to get their guns.
I've watched it happen.
I know that because I know dudes that went and got their guns from Nevada.
Yeah.
Cross border. So
go to a gun show in Nevada, and 30% of the cars in the parking lot are from California. I've counted. I've walked the parking lot.
Thank you for your call, sir. Thank you very much. Getting that insight. What is the argument against? And I'm still trying to get other than the fact that anybody can have whatever gun they want against AK-47s and Uzi and 9mm, and I mean, there was a little victory when it came to bump stocks, right? Which we could make any gun into automatic weapon, a machine gun. What is it there? This seems to be logical, that you don't want somebody walking around, with guns that could take out, a whole block. What's the argument there?
I'm going to defer. I think there's another caller coming in.
Is there a caller? Okay, Malcolm wants to jump in.
No caller. Just before you answer that question, that was, as I was listening to you talk, Doc, it's almost like the phrase gun violence it doesn't do enough in your mind, because gun, there's almost a picture that comes up when you say that word, but it's not assault weapon. You don't necessarily think large capacity weapon of war when you hear a gun, and so we're not, the guns is too simple almost of a term, because we're dealing with so much more under that umbrella. Does that make sense?
It does. So arguments against. One, it depends on who's making the argument, but one is, I don't agree with this, but it is an argument that's out there. The Second Amendment, in essence, allows anybody to own whatever kind of firearm they want to own, subject to restrictions that will all be litigated. But I think the important thing to put front and center is that firearms are consumer products, like motor vehicles, like anything else that we buy. There is an industry that makes them, that wants to maximize sales. They can't sell the same gun over and over to people, and guns last for a long time. You don't use them and throw them away. So they need to be able to diversify the product. So tired of conventional pistols, and we got tired of revolvers, so we moved to pistols. Tired of pistols, I know, let's have the civilian version of assault rifles. Ghost guns are sort of the latest, and where ghost guns are different is that there isn't an organized industry. But I suspect we'll see challenges to regulations on ghost guns. The point is, there will be pressure to make and sell every kind of gun you can think of, as long as there is money to be made in doing that.
So, one thing gives me hope, but doesn't give me hope, right? Doesn't give me hope. And this must have been an aberration, because the tobacco industry was making a whole bunch of money, and it was killing folks. And somehow, people said it is a it's a health issue. Health issue. I don't know how they did it. What was it about tobacco that they took on the money anyway and decided now You can't smoke in buildings. You can't, you almost, I'm not going to say you're a pariah, but you certainly think twice. People will tell you, don't smoke around me. People say you can have all the guns you want around me. You're not knowing the mindset. What was it about tobacco that they were able to do that is that just like, what was it? That seems to be the singular thing that was a health issue that we took.
So, yeah, several things. Some are going to make people uncomfortable, but I don't think anybody will surprise any of them will surprise anybody. There was a lot of money to be made selling tobacco, but tobacco caused health effects across a broad population. And people didn't just die from smoking, they got sick from smoking, and they stayed sick for a long time before they died. And that's still happening. I see it all the time in the ED. They got cancer, they got lung disease. But the other thing is, the health effects of tobacco were spread broadly across the population. They were not concentrated in one segment of the population the way interpersonal violence is. And to get that kind of broadening for firearm violence, you have to include suicide, which is why I do. But we still don't even have a public conversation. We're starting to about suicide. But until we recognize that everybody knows somebody, everybody loves somebody who's at risk from dying from gun violence, there will still be plenty of people saying, not my problem. And then there's one other thing, and then I'll stop because I know I'm kind of on a roll. Have you ever heard of the National Smokers Association?
No.
No, you haven't. There wasn't the advocacy group that there is for gun ownership.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Wow. Okay, look, we're at the end of this first hour. We're coming back. We're gonna jump over to YouTube, everybody. You can tell my YouTube thing.
YouTube Live at Stay Alive and Free.
Okay, we got 3 more guests coming in. We'll continue this.